Cardi, what is the craziest thing you've used a man for?
You pay my rent for 6 months straight because you make me.
And that's happened?
Yeah, of course it happens. A lot of these men go tell you, like, listen, I got a wife, but I want to have a good time. Oh, and I got bills, and I want them to be paid.
Yippee for this new era of empowerment and liberation for women. Yippee! I honestly... really, evil knows no bounds in this reality. This is why you should not wallow in your own self-pity for long periods of time. Because it leaves you vulnerable to such really dehumanizing ideas. I constantly follow this, I like following this gender war dynamic stuff. I'm not particularly invested. Like, if I see a particularly stupid video, I might comment something. But other than that, like, I'm just here to watch it, honestly. Because at what point, like, what the hell is it that people are actually fighting to do exactly? And it plays into one of my previous videos about the victimhood industrial complex. Because this is part and parcel of it. It's the reason why victimhood will never go away, because so many people are invested in it continuing to exist, continuing to fucking bitch and moan about, oh, this marginalization, this oppression, blah, 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 blah. Like, it extends to lots of different areas, right? This narrative of women demanding payment for sex is nothing short of prostitution. Soliciting your body for sexual services for money is prostitution. And in this sense, it's like literally tax-free, right? It's tax-free prostitution. Like, relationships have become literally so... They have not even become consumerist. They've become corporatized now. Human relationships, romantic relationships have become corporatized. This is what this dynamic is now, right? You have the fucking alpha males on one side saying, you know, women are supposed to submit and be cooperative and you know, remain in the house barefoot and just do what I say, blah, 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 blah. Then you have this shit on the other end that's like, a man should just pay your bills because he likes you. He should pay your bills from the first day, right? Okay, yeah, like, obviously Cardi B didn't say that in the video specifically, but what did she really say? Right? A guy comes to her, and this is the fucking, it's the crazy thing. She'll say a guy comes to her, says he has a wife, but he wants to have fun, and then she says, but I have bills that need to be paid, right? If it's like that, like, the thing is, I personally believe water finds its own level, right? You find the people that you're most comfortable being around with eventually, right? The thing about water finding its own level is it literally takes time, right? I like the analogy so much because it you know, water is very unpredictable, but also it's predictably unpredictable. But at the same time, once it levels off, you know, you're at a steady point. This is why I'm not invested in this war, like, oh, you know, women should be doing this or men should be like that, right? It's just because I happen to find myself in a state of manhood and what I perceive as being the most the most efficient way to move about my life as a man is stuff that I talk about on this channel. That's about as much as I'm invested in it. I'm not about to do what my father did. And, props to him, they did the whole traditional family thing and provided for us. But I'm not about to repeat that bullshit. I'm not. I'm simply not. I have no desire, no urge to have a woman in my house who's like my fucking doormat, or just like not even a doormat, but in the way these alpha male sort of patriarchy chauvinist type of men talk about how women men relationships should be. It's very diluted. They're just as diluted as the women they complain about being diluted as well. Because seeing how my parents interact, like, sometimes I'm like, yo, these are complete fucking strangers that for almost 40 years just live in the same place, sleep in the same bedroom, and eat from the same table, the same food, like, literally all the fuck, and they're just doing it, like, they're not fucking bored, Which, great for me, in that sense. And I don't think it's really a lost art form necessarily. It's getting rare. Okay, it's getting rarer and rarer to find that type of dynamic. And to see that the state of relationships nowadays is so transactional, it's really fucking sad to see. Because it's like from what women are saying now, it's like, oh yeah, you just need, you're basically telling a guy to pay everything for you, like just basically pay you for existing or pay you for just being around him, right? Well, which isn't a problem if you're telling like the guy that is approaching you or whatever, this is how it is, blah blah blah, blah, and they accept, go right the fuck ahead. I can't blame anyone. I can't pity anyone for entering into something they knew what they were entering into, right? Or that they were naive about what they were entering into. But if you look at this discourse, you look at like what are the most common talking points over and over and over again. It's so fucking tedious. It's so stupid. And you can tell the people that are even saying this shit, most of them are not even happy, right? Most of them are not happy with themselves. That's the main thing. Like, because happiness is a very fleeting emotion. But if you're happy with yourself, and very few people can really truly say that, then it shows, right? You don't have to seek constantly external, like the most lowest quality form of external validation. That's what this is right now. That's what the online discourse has reached. The lowest quality for, like, I've seen so many videos of women posting their fucking L's back to back about how no guy approached them, or no guy does this, or like they get into their fucking 30s and like they don't get attention anymore, or at the same time you'll see women in their 20s justifying why nice guys are shit and why bad guys are like so like fucking attractive to them, right? They'll have this thinly veiled appearance of self-awareness, like, oh yeah, he's kind of toxic or whatever, but he's fun and exciting, right? That's the gist of it. But as we know, as I've already told you, the bad guy is a psychopath by design, or a sociopath, or a narcissist. One of those three, or a combination of them, which is fucking sickening, to be honest. But that is what the bad guy is, right? The bad boys. It would be so much easier if women just said they were attracted to psychopaths, but I think a lot of them have just that much self-awareness to realize that that doesn't sound really good, So they say bad boys, they say all these kinds of other euphemisms. And this is where I say euphemisms are there's such an attack on people's self-preservation. If you don't say the thing that if you don't like explain to yourself the thing that you're actually doing, you can get away with literally self-destructive habits for just long enough before it starts affecting you. And this is why I say women are now their own pimps. Because if you look at what the dynamic between a pimp and the prostitute, you could describe it as human trafficking, yes. And in fact, most times it really is, right? Because the prostitutes are not coming from they're not recruiting prostitutes from the fucking Hamptons or like fucking the suburbs, right? It's usually women from lower economic classes who get recruited by these pimps, right? And then the pimps pimp them out, right? They stand on the sidewalk, maybe they're like escort service, whatever, you name it. So that once the prostitute is paid, I'm pretty sure the majority of it goes to the pimp, and then the prostitute gets I don't know, maybe 30% or 40%. Like it's literally extortion. It's a fucked up system, right? This isn't me saying this. I'm not justifying that. I'm just explaining at least how I have observed or studied pimping, right? And failure of the customer or the patron to pay the prostitute would now bring the pimp out to get his fucking money. That's what the pimp was for. They provided the service. Your inability to pay them for that service would get your arm literally fucking twisted or worse, right? Or worse. The pimp was not a good person. The pimp was like the archetype of a fucking psychopath. And women are doing this to themselves now. I don't know if you've noticed it as well, but this is what women are doing to themselves now. Especially when they say that, you should not be sleeping with broke men, right? You should be getting paid for having sex with men. And once that doesn't work out for you, and you get old enough and you regret your choices, it's now time for you to blame your inability to choose the type of man you'd want to be with on every other man that you weren't even looking at before. And mind you, children are being born in these circumstances as well, right? They're often they're such a prop. They're such a useful prop for so many fucking women. The irresponsible ass fucking men who impregnate so many women, and the women themselves who know the consequences of sex still go through with it anyways, have the children, and then complain they have the children and expect to be pitied and fucking worshipped for having the children. Both people are fucking disgusting in my opinion. Absolutely rancid. Fucking rancid, honestly.
There's no reason for any woman to be broke if she's having sex with a man. I'm going to say it again. There's no reason for any woman to be broke if she's having sex with a man. And if you are having sex with a man and you're broke, you're getting scammed. You're getting played.
And this is why so many women are so fucking miserable and angry all the time, right? Frustrated about, this entire marketing scheme that has been sold to them about empowerment, liberation, especially the sexual liberation, right? Because you're literally the pimp and the prostitute at the same fucking time, and yet you don't have the physical force or the weaponry or the types of connections that pimps have to get their way exactly how they want it, right? You might know a few simps or something, I don't know, maybe. But at the same time, this isn't even a matter of not even getting paid. It's so fucking, it's just distorted as fuck because, okay, so the guy she sleeps with, let's say the guy has I don't even know what the fuck that even means, to be honest. Like, so if you're paying her, does that mean like paying her bills, her rent, and fucking her like her food bills and all that, and you just get to fuck her? Or I don't understand this, because I'm never gonna do such fucking, like, I would have to be several different kinds of brain dead before that ever comes into my mind. Like, that might be a good idea. Oh man, you really got me fucked up. If that is something, but again, if you want to do it and then you find another party that wants to do it, hey, by all means, I don't want to hear either of you fucking complaining about that shit. But clearly, that's not the case. So now you've got these women pimping themselves out, but then they're pimping themselves out not just to get their bills paid, but they also want the man to do what they say, right? It's so disgusting how, like, women want the status of a relationship by far. Like, even if they're cheating in the relationship, even guys are cheating, whatever, but even if a woman is cheating, she still wants that status of a relationship, right? Men just want to have the status of being in a relationship to signal that they're getting pussy all the time, right? But women want the status of a relationship to show that, they're not, they're desired, right? They're at least, at the very least, they're above single women. They've been picked, so to speak, right? So in this whole pimping that they're doing to themselves, they also want to get some sort of status, some sort of improved status out of pimping themselves. And yet, like, I would hope that, you people listening can realize why this is never gonna fucking work. That train of thought is not going to work. So now they're left to feed into fucking corporatism, right? And when things start not working out for them, they can always fall back on blaming the patriarchy and men, right? And yet patriarchy and men weren't involved in your success, but they're involved in your failures? Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. And the fucking simps that tolerate these kinds of women as well, they're in the same boat. How can you complain that men aren't valued or cared, or, like, I don't know, they're not respected anymore, and you let a woman talk to you like this? Like you're a child, basically. Like you're a child, but then also her fucking personal chauffeur. How the fuck is she gonna respect you if that's what you're letting slide? Do you have no dignity? Is that it? I honestly think public humiliation is a kink for a lot of fucking people. A lot more people than I ever realized. Public humiliation is a fucking kink for a lot of people. I mean, heck, all the kinks are out in the open now, so why not? Like, literally, so many people are just, oh man, I didn't know it was this bad. I really didn't know, I didn't know. It's astounding to me how somebody can, like, do you have no dignity? Do you have no self-dignity? Do you have no, like, you have no perception of what you want to be viewed as, what you want to be viewed, like, things that you would be happy to be viewed as, right? Like, truly, not like conforming to whatever the fuck the current cultural zeitgeist is telling you to conform with. More and more women will continue to be fucking miserable. Absolutely so. And this whole and they're willing to, like, throw away their own fulfillment in life to make bullshit excuses to continue self-destructive habits off of the one phrase that men do it too. That's enough for you to justify your stupid shit, right? Men do it too. That's enough. That's enough for you to justify. I mean, really. Oh man, do I have to even, like, what if that's the justification? What else could they possibly justify in that sense? What other things do men do as well that they would also want to do, but not? Man, it really hurts it hurts my fucking brain to even think about shit like this, because there is no thinking. They've surrendered themselves to their physical fucking urges. People have surrendered themselves to their physical primal urges, and neurotransmitters will do one thing: neurotransmit. That's all they're gonna do. You keep feeding them the same stimuli, they'll keep feeding you the same good, feel-good hormones or whatever, till you get desensitized, and then you have to keep doing it over and over, seeking worse and worse risks, right? And all the while, you have children being born into this, like, I just realized Facebook was started in what, 2004? Yeah, and it's 18 years since Facebook was founded. So a kid born in 2004 is now 18. And the only thing they've ever known is social media. In their like from the point they were 3, 4 years old, 5, they've only known social media. They're the ones who grew up playing with iPads and playing with smartphones and everything. Like, for us, it was this new thing, right? If you're born in the 90s and beyond, it was this new thing, this just futuristic technology. But for them, if you're born with it, like, it's nothing to you. It's just, okay, it's not really nothing to you, but it's just like it's like a piece of furniture, you just go sit on the chair, and you can see how it's affected. I guess they're called, what, Gen Z? That must be Gen Z. Like, I think after the year 2000, at the very least, is Gen Z, right? Gen Z don't even know, like, you thought millennials were fucked, and we are, but Gen Z, like, the moment that Gen Z start getting into politics and these world stages, like, you will literally hear somebody say, this summit isn't good for my mental health, I have to leave, I'm sorry. And they could be like bargaining between like warring countries or like trying to get funding or something. Doesn't matter. Like, they've just reached that level of indifference. Because tell me how a teenager can be burnt out by the time they're in their 20, 21, 22. It's fucking teenagers, man. Right? You engage in the, and before, when we were teenagers, right, you had the adult lifestyle and then you had the teenage lifestyle, and then teenagers were always trying to emulate the adult lifestyle in one way or another. But the more time passed, the adult lifestyle and the teenage lifestyle have just, they've merged into like this gray line for a number of reasons. And it's like, now, the earlier you get to prostitute yourself, the better. I've used prostitution in just the sexual context this whole time I've been talking, but I would literally say even the military is prostitution, to be honest. Like, they're vastly more, they hoe their bodies out vastly more than even sex workers do, to be honest, right? We all have to sell our souls in this system. And our bodies, so to speak, because, if it's your labor, even if it's a low-skilled labor, don't buy that shit, Don't buy that bullshit. There's no such thing as low-skilled labor. Even if it's that, you're still selling your body, but it's not really the most intimate parts of you. And while I'm not really going to criticize the women who have to do that, because there are women who have no other choice in this life. Now, because every woman is by default a victim and oppressed and a battered, enslaved housewife, heck, why not monetize your own fucking oppression? I'm sure it'll disappear once it's fully monetized, right? Oh man, I really feel bad for people having children right now. Whether it's sons, daughters, whatever. I really feel bad for people having children right now, because they're not even going to know left from right, because they're just too afraid to offend somebody. They're not even going to be able to take more than like 4 or 5 steps to make sure that they've just checked their privilege at every point. Either that, or they just, if you find people are so invested in victimhood, wouldn't you turn yourself into even if you've never experienced it yourself, wouldn't you just turn yourself into a victim? I mean, who's to know better? Who's going to know better, right? Who's going to know better if everyone's a victim? Who can really say, this is I've said this before, this era of presumption of guilt, it's focused on men right now, but don't worry, it'll come for you too, right? If you think you're going to dance around the evil of this place for free, the evil of this fucking reality for free, for just cash out, oh man. It's not that I even believe in karma, no. There's a difference between karma and coming to collect, right? You're handed only so many evil stamps in this reality until it's like, oh, they're out. Time for me to come collect, But yeah, keep being selfish. Keep your time to yourself. Keep your money, however much money you have, to yourself. Keep your emotional stability to yourself. Do not bring a victim here to become an empowered victim to keep victimizing themselves, if that makes sense.